Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Saturday, August 27th, and this is the MLB DFS video for today. So in today's video, we'll be taking a look back at yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out, talking about my core plays for today. It is 11-game main slate overall, and then going over to my article over at WeBetATS.com and talking about my top GPP stacks for today as well. But without further ado, we'll get started with a recap of yesterday's picks. At the pitcher position, we had Garrett Cole at $11,000, got to 62 points yesterday, so he was a very good hit in the top overall pitcher on yesterday's slate. Then at first base, we had Yandy Diaz. You could also play him at third base if you wanted to do so. He was $3,200, got to 39.9 points overall. He was a hit. He would have been the top first baseman or top third baseman. Didn't really matter which position you played him at. Then we had Bo Bichette at shortstop at $2,800. Pretty reduced price tag for him. He got 6 points yesterday. So he was a push, not a guy that put our lineup over the top, but definitely not a guy that hurt us by any means yesterday. Then at third base, we had Ke'Bryan Hayes at $2,400. Got to 12 points yesterday, so he was a pretty good hit as well, especially at a reduced price tag. And then last but not least, in the outfield, we had Kyle Schwarber at $3,300. Got to 12.4 points, so he was a hit as well. So overall, a very, very good day. Just alone with Yandy Diaz and Garrett Cole was over 100 points. So if you went with this core five, you had a very, very good chance of cashing yesterday. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my core picks for today. So we're going to start off at the pitcher position once again with a New York Yankees pitcher going against the Oakland A's team that's not the best by any means, and it's Domingo Germán this time at $8,600. Only averages about 22 fantasy points per game on the season. Got to take that with a grain of salt since he did come back. He was kind of limited at first, but it seems like he's pitching deeper in the game and pitching a little bit more effectively. So it should be a pretty good matchup versus him versus Oakland overall. He doesn't have too much history versus these Oakland A's hitters, but that typically does favor the pitcher overall. Then we move down to first base with Pete Alonso, $4,100, starting to hit the ball pretty well once again. Goes against the Colorado Rockies. It's Kyle Freeland pitching today. Oddly enough, he has no history versus Kyle Freeland in his career, which kind of surprised me since both these guys have been in the majors for a little while at this point in time. But at the same time, should be a pretty favorable matchup for Pete Alonso either way. And then we move down to second base with Jorge Polanco at $2,800, averaging over 10 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the San Francisco Giants and Alex Cobb today, and he is 5 for 16 versus Alex Cobb in his career. No home runs or anything like that there at this point in time, but a decent little play today. Should be some upside there as well. Then we're going to move down to outfield with Will Myers at $2,300. Just kind of a pay down option today. Goes against the Kansas City Royals, coming off a big game yesterday. It's Daniel Lynch pitching for the Royals today, a left-handed pitcher. Will Myers has no history versus him. Daniel Lynch kind of struggled last couple of times out, so could favor Will Myers overall today. And then last but not least, we have Hunter Renfroe at $3,400, averaging about 10.5 fantasy points per game on this season. Goes against the Chicago Cubs today and Drew Smyly. He is 1 for 2 versus Drew Smyly in his career with a home run, so it could be a pretty favorable matchup for him once again today. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you'll have $13,800 remaining, just over $3,400 per player. So there's definitely some ability to pay up for hitters if that's something you really want to do and pay down at other spots. But at the same time, you could also take a pretty balanced approach and end up with a pretty good team overall as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my article over at WeBetATS.com and talk about my top GPP stacks for today. So the stacks that I do have for today, we're going to have the Minnesota Twins going against Alex Cobb. A lot of these Twins hitters have pretty good history versus Alex Cobb, so it should be a favorable matchup there. We have the Texas Rangers going against the Detroit Tigers. It's Eduardo Rodriguez pitching today. A little bit of history there for some of these Rangers hitters that's in pretty good shape as well. Eduardo Rodriguez is his second start back since he's kind of returned. The first start wasn't too bad, but we'll see how it is today against this Texas team. And then we do have the Houston Astros trying to bounce back after a really bad performance versus Kyle Bradish yesterday, which was a little bit of a shock. But I do like seeing Bradish pitch well, even though he hasn't happened too often this season. But they go against Dean Kramer today, a guy that's kind of been hit or miss so far this season. Could be another favorable matchup for the Astros overall. Then last but not least, we have those New York Mets going against Kyle Freeland. Some of these Mets hitters do have pretty good history versus him. And then there's Pete Alonso, who oddly enough doesn't have history versus Kyle Freeland, but definitely looks pretty good as well. But with that being said, these are my core 5 picks as well as top GPP stacks for today, August 27th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments below and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on today's slate, whether it's someone from my core 5 picks, whether it's someone from my top GPP stacks, or whether it's a completely different player you guys think I missed. Definitely interested in hearing what you have to say. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. It helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS, primarily MLB DFS at this point in time. But once we get back around to the NFL and NBA regular seasons, I will be covering those two sports as well. And then with that being said, if you are a new or current subscriber who's yet to do so, also be sure to hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. Like I've been saying, I post up daily MLB DFS videos just like this. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.